Hey, we're back in the kitchen with Diana Stova. It's been a long time. I'll bet you never thought that I would be making beef. Yes, I'm about to create my favorite biohacking meal, my #1 weight loss dish. It's a metabolic blast for your body. And it's one of the food items that when I was doing my coaching and people wanted to lose weight, I said, this is the food for you. It's got the protein, it's got the fats, it's got the fiber, it's got everything you need in proper balance so that your body can actually do what it's meant to do and work. Now remember, I'm no longer a raw food vegan. I have transitioned over into incorporating all the fats, all the proteins, everything into my diet. This is where I am today. I'm a 60-year-old woman who was a raw vegan for many, many years, and life just changed for me. I've gone through the menopausal shift, and I think for longevity and for muscle tissue, I've had to incorporate meats back into my body. So today we're going to make homemade chili. It happens to be the end of fall here, so I'm super excited about making this and having a big pot of it for the whole family to eat. I like to start with 2 different kinds of meats. I do a nice stewed beef, and I also do ground beef so that it creates a little texture. One of the things when I do my stewed meat is I like to keep it in big chunks because when it starts to break down, it's gonna have nice fibrous pieces in your chili. But I cover it in salt. I got this great mineral salt that, you gotta use a nice fine mineral. This is a gold mineral salt. It's got all the trace minerals and really ignites your system. And then, I'm gonna let that sit for a second while I go over to the stove. We're gonna start sauteing the meat. Okay, so remember that the meats are really important for the protein, but it's kind of like a big volume dish. You get a lot of volume of food for very low calorie. This is one of the reasons I love chili. All right, we're gonna brown this. This is at 80% fat meat, adding some salt. Let that brown. Okay, so first, protein, fat, and fiber are the essentials here, right? We've got ground beef and the stew beef, which basically will curb your appetite for about 6 hours. It's like no cravings, you're just satiated. Beans, onions, they bring a lot of fiber in, which slows the digestion, which keeps your blood sugar stable. And then you've got your healthy fats from the beef that supports the hormones, and it's literally a metabolic trifecta. So now that we've got the ground beef, I'm gonna throw in the stew meat, and we're gonna brown that as well. This is gonna be really hearty. We've got a lot of meat and beans. We're really making a heavy, delicious meal here. Like I said, chili is volume food. It's like a big bang for very low calories, and that's super important. When you're hungry, get a big bowl of chili, skip the cheese, skip the sour cream, and just eat the meat, the tomatoes, and the beans. I never want to discourage ease, right? You can use canned beans, you can use fresh beans, whatever you want. I actually soaked mine overnight. I've got kidney beans and I've got these big beans. I love the big beans, that nice bite. I do use canned tomatoes. I think it gives a little bit of flavor. It's a little bit richer, but you can stew them yourselves. I actually like getting the whole tomato itself. This is something I learned from my Persian father, that if you get the tomato and just sort of squeeze it, you get more of a crushed tomato. I feel like you get more control over it rather than the pre-chopped. Some people like to use red peppers. You can use actually chili peppers in your chili. Anything goes. I mean, sometimes I add savory tofu. You can eliminate the meat if you're a vegan and just want to do tofu as well. I like the savory roasted ones because then they already bring a nice flavor to it. But I just use onions. I keep it really simple. Sometimes I'll use red pepper. I don't really like green pepper personally, so I don't put it in there. I think it takes over the flavor. As far as spices go, chili powder is like garlic, black pepper, cumin, paprika. It's got oregano, all these things that ignite your metabolism. I'm also going to add a bay leaf in there and a little extra smoky hot paprika, just because I like a little spice. Sometimes I'm in the mood for it to be a little on the sweeter side. Everybody's chili comes out different, right? So I'll add a little bit of cinnamon sometimes, or a little allspice. Not much, but just enough to give it a little sweetness at the end. But we're gonna go full spicy this time.
the meat is brown. I'm gonna add onions. I have 3 small onions here. If you're asking, I've got 2 pounds of ground beef and I've got about 2 pounds plus of stewed beef. So this is going to be at least a 4-pound chili. Cooked tomatoes are fantastic because they're really good for your skin. They add lycopene, and it sort of decreases inflammation, supports your liver, and actually protects your skin from aging. It's interesting, I've done so many lab tests and it turns out that I have an allergic reaction to fresh tomatoes, but for some reason when they're cooked, I don't. Obviously I'm gonna put some more tomatoes in here, but first, I wanna add my beans. I don't know if you know this, but beans are like a blue zone staple. This is the longevity, it's a surefire longevity food. The more beans you eat, the better you are. First of all, they're high in fiber, they're high resistant starch, and your gut loves them. So why do we have gas when we eat beans? Well, sometimes we have gas when we start moving the system. Like the system has been stagnant and all of a sudden we introduce something into it and we're like, oh, that bothered my stomach. Did it bother your stomach, or was your stomach already bothered and it needed some movement? That's a good question. I think I might have soaked too many beans. We're gonna have to make them on the sly. This looks like enough. And then we're gonna add some more tomatoes and our spices. Again, chili powder, a thermogenic. This is also an igniter for your metabolism. I use the entire thing. Now that may be a little aggressive, but I really like all the spices to merge into my chili. It makes it rich, it makes it spicy. It actually adds depth, and I crave it. You know, I live in Florida now, so everything gets a little bit humid. 0.1 ounces of pure spice. And then because we got the tomatoes and the meat, we're gonna add a little bit more salt. I'm gonna throw in some spicy hot, and then a couple bay leaves. Right, now we're gonna simmer and stir for at least 2 hours, preferably 4 hours because of the stewed meat. And as the beans start to absorb a lot of the water, I'm going to kind of top it off with a little more water to make sure that it stays kind of soupy. Leave a little bit of breathing room here, but cover it just enough to get the simmer going. All right, that's that. So I let this simmer for about 4 hours. The flavors have really melded, but look at that. The big beans, the meat, the hearty richness, the comfort food, so delicious.